Maureen O'Hara was born Maureen Fitzsimons on August 17, 1920, in Ranelagh, a quiet suburb of Dublin, Ireland, into a household that prized creativity, discipline, and moral strength. From childhood, she displayed a dramatic instinct paired with uncommon confidence. Her parents encouraged artistic exploration, leading her to train at the Abbey Theatre, Ireland's national stage, where she studied voice, movement, and classical performance. This early grounding gave her a seriousness many young actors lacked. Though her striking red hair and green eyes would later become iconic, it was her presence, clarity of speech, and emotional control that set her apart. Unlike many stars shaped by Hollywood, O'Hara arrived fully formed, carrying Irish pride and personal conviction with her. These early influences instilled values she never abandoned, even when fame, pressure, and power threatened to test them. Discovery, Hitchcock, and a swift rise to fame. O'Hara's life changed dramatically when actor Charles Laughton recognized her talent and brought her into his professional circle. He cast her in Jamaica Inn in 1939, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, a performance that immediately drew international attention. That same year, she appeared opposite Laughton again in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, portraying Esmeralda with emotional depth far beyond her years. Her transition to Hollywood was remarkably smooth, not because she conformed, but because she didn't need to. Audiences sensed her authenticity. She projected intelligence and resolve at a time when many female roles were ornamental. O'Hara quickly became known as a leading lady who could match her male counterparts in strength and presence. Hollywood had found not just a beauty, but a force who could command the screen without surrendering her identity. Strength on screen in an era of limitations. Throughout the 1940s, Maureen O'Hara built a reputation for portraying women who were passionate, defiant, and fully realized. Films like How Green Was My Valley, The Black Swan, and Sinbad the Sailor showcased her range, allowing her to embody courage, tenderness, and moral clarity. At a time when studio systems favored compliance, O'Hara's characters spoke their minds and defended their dignity. Audiences responded because these women felt real. She refused roles that reduced female characters to decoration, even when such decisions risked career momentum. This insistence earned her admiration and quiet resistance behind the scenes. O'Hara understood that longevity required integrity, not constant visibility. Her performances resonated precisely because they reflected who she was, off-screen, grounded, proud, and unwilling to be diminished by expectation or convenience. John Ford, John Wayne, and cinematic chemistry few partnerships in classic cinema were as memorable as Maureen O'Hara's collaborations with director John Ford and actor John Wayne. Together, they created films that blended romance, humor, and emotional honesty. Most famously, The Quiet Man. As Mary-Kate Danaher, O'Hara delivered one of her most powerful performances, combining vulnerability with fire and independence. Her chemistry with Wayne worked because it was balanced. Neither dominated the other. While Ford was a visionary filmmaker, O'Hara later described their working relationship as emotionally complex and often difficult. She acknowledged his brilliance while also speaking honestly about his volatility. Importantly, she never attempted to erase his artistic legacy, choosing instead to tell a nuanced truth. Her willingness to hold space for both admiration and critique reflected her commitment to honesty over myth-making, refusing Hollywood's unwritten rules. Away from the camera, O'Hara was known for resisting Hollywood's rigid studio expectations. She insisted on fair treatment, transparency, and professional respect, values that were not always welcomed in a system built on hierarchy and silence. In later interviews, she spoke generally about inappropriate behavior and pressure faced by actresses of her era, emphasizing that refusing to cooperate with unethical demands sometimes limited opportunities. She framed these experiences not as personal grievance, but as systemic problems. O'Hara never sensationalized her accounts. Instead, she spoke plainly about dignity, boundaries, and choice. Her stance was costly, but she believed self-respect mattered more than popularity. Long before cultural conversations caught up, she demonstrated that success without compromise was possible, even if the road was harder and lonelier. Marriages, motherhood, and hard lessons. O'Hara's personal life reflected both passion and growth. She married young in 1939, a decision shaped by inexperience and circumstance, and the marriage ended quietly 2 years later. Her second marriage brought motherhood, a role she cherished deeply, but also emotional strain that eventually led to divorce. Becoming a single mother strengthened her resolve and clarified her priorities. O'Hara never portrayed herself as a victim of love, but as someone who learned through it. Later relationships brought companionship and stability, culminating in her marriage to aviator Charles F. Blair Jr. Their union was grounded in mutual respect and shared adventure. Blair's tragic death in 1978 devastated her, yet she endured with characteristic resilience, carrying both grief and gratitude with quiet strength. Life beyond the spotlight and personal resilience. Following her marriage to Blair, O'Hara gradually stepped away from acting, choosing a quieter life centered on family and business. Together, they ran an airline in the Caribbean, far removed from studio politics and public scrutiny. After Blair's death and her own cancer diagnosis, O'Hara faced adversity with determination rather than despair. Surgery was successful, and she recovered fully, though the loss left a permanent mark. These years reshaped her perspective, reinforcing values she had always held. She wrote her autobiography, "'Tis Herself, not to settle scores, but to tell her story on her own terms." The book reflected humor, honesty, and emotional restraint, mirroring the woman herself, reflective, proud, and unwilling to exaggerate her pain for attention. Speaking truth without seeking revenge. In later life, O'Hara addressed Hollywood's darker realities with calm clarity rather than anger. She spoke about exploitation in general terms, focusing on the importance of accountability rather than naming individuals or fueling scandal. Her approach was measured and deliberate. She believed truth mattered most when delivered without cruelty. This restraint distinguished her from sensational narratives. O'Hara never framed herself as a symbol, yet her voice became increasingly relevant as the industry reevaluated its past. She understood that cultural change requires courage, but also balance. By refusing to dramatize her experiences, she preserved credibility and dignity. Her honesty was not performative, it was principled. In doing so, she offered a powerful example of how strength and compassion can coexist. Recognition, reflection, and final honors. In 2014, Maureen O'Hara received an honorary Academy Award, acknowledging a lifetime of artistic excellence and cultural impact. The moment was long overdue. Standing before the industry she once challenged, she accepted the honor with humility and grace. Her legacy by then extended beyond filmography. She represented independence, professionalism, and quiet resistance. Audiences remembered her not only for iconic performances, but for the consistency of her character. She had never reinvented herself to please trends, yet she remained relevant. That relevance came from authenticity. O'Hara's career proved that strength does not require aggression, and honesty does not require spectacle. She remained herself, even as decades and values shifted around her. A life lived on her own terms. Maureen O'Hara passed away peacefully on October 24, 2015, at the age of 95, closing a life defined by courage, integrity, and purpose. She spent her final years away from the spotlight, embracing privacy after decades of public scrutiny. She was laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery, beside Charles Blair, honoring both love and service. Her story endures not because of controversy, but because of conviction. O'Hara did not seek to expose Hollywood. She sought to live honestly within it. Her legacy is one of strength without bitterness, truth without cruelty, and success without surrender. In an industry built on illusion, Maureen O'Hara stood as something rare and enduring, real